Hello, my friends, and welcome to this Saturday afternoon live, depending on where you live. Today is Saturday, August 10th, 2024, and I found our next trial. And I was on last night with Mark, and I think I was on with the Galera the other night, and I was saying, let's find another trial to cover together because I love doing live trial coverage. Well, I have found it. Hi, Melly. Hi, Melly. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to Sin City, my friends. We're going to Sin City. And what's so ironic about that is I was just in Sin City last night with Dead and Company at the Sphere. And then one of my viewers pointed out this case to me that happens to be starting trial on Monday. And I said, this is the one we need to cover. I hadn't really been following this case at all. So thank you to whoever it was that pointed it out to me because it's got everything. It's got everything. It's got a cast of characters. It's got a guy a defendant who thinks he's being framed by law enforcement, or he claims that he's being framed by law enforcement, despite the fact that his DNA was found underneath the victim's fingernails. This involves a journalist, an investigative journalist, who was murdered for writing, according to the prosecution, hit pieces against the defendant, Rob Tellis. And the victim's name is Jeff Gehrman, and he was a reporter, an investigative reporter for something like more than 40 years in Las Vegas, and he had handled he wrote all kinds of articles investigating corruption and uncovering corruption, and his specialty was organized crime. And he had worked or written hit pieces about some very, very dangerous people. But sadly, it would be allegedly, because innocent until proven guilty, this lawyer / politician / public official, Rob Tellis, may or may not have taken his life outside his Las Vegas home on September 2nd of 2022. What happens in Vegas? Yeah, this is a crazy one. If you guys know about this case of Rob Tellis, put a 1 in the chat. If you have never heard of it before, put a 2 in the chat. Because I thought today was going to be, we're going to do like a general overview of the case before trial because there's so much stuff that's happened here. Hi, Mal. He was representing himself for a while, but now he has an attorney. I mean, this case has everything. It's got a judge who totally reminds me of Cyndi Lauper. If you haven't seen this judge, she's pretty awesome and cool and just like I've never seen anything like it. She gives him a speech when he decides to represent himself. We're going to take a look at parts of that. Okay, so the 1s are for people who have heard about it. The 2s are for people who don't know anything about it. Love that. There's so many people who don't know anything about it, and this is going to be fire, this trial. You know what's great about it? It's in Las Vegas. So for those of us on the East Coast, we don't have to start until noon. Yay. Yep. All right, a lot of guys have not heard about it. The 48-hour special is good. I watched it last night, and I'm going to link it in the description. I can't really show it because I think they'll copyright strike me. But this is a crazy case. This is a crazy case. So this guy, Rob Tellis, was a lawyer. He graduated from, I think, UNLV Law School in something like 2016. He was elected to be the public administrator in Clark County, Nevada. And public administrator is somebody who has to do with probate and estates. And the public administrator is oftentimes appointed to be the representative of an estate when someone dies without a will, or someone dies without any heirs, and there are things that need to be settled in the estate. So he was a politician. And he ran that office in Clark County. And he was apparently, allegedly, so toxic as a boss that at least 4 women employees had filed complaints against him for hostile work environment, for bullying. And in the 48 hours piece, some of those women speak out and they talk about the horrible things that he allegedly did to them and how horrible he made their work environment, which is an EEOC violation if you can prove it. And the women eventually decided to go to Jeff Gehrman, who was a reporter at the Las Vegas Review Journal. Before that, he had worked at the Las Vegas Sun. And he told them, or they told him their story, and he was the first person to believe them. And they felt so validated because he believed what they were saying about this toxic work environment and this horrible, horrible boss that they had. And they even nicknamed him Boss Baby, which is why I put Boss Baby on my thumbnail, because when you put them side by side, they kind of do look a little bit alike. Not going to lie. So Rob Tellis has been charged with open murder, which in Nevada is a combination of first and second degree murder. And they have taken the death penalty off the table. So he is not facing the death penalty. In fact, the women who were making complaints about him also had suspicions that he was sleeping with a subordinate who also worked in the office. And these women went so far as to take video of Tellis and this unidentified as yet woman having a meeting in the back seat of his car in the parking garage, which he claims was just a meeting. And she was someone that he would confide in. And, he's got some personality traits that some people might recognize, and it's going to be crazy. Let's take a look. So, yes, somebody had said this in the chat, but Jeff Cameron was stabbed 7 times outside his Las Vegas home on September 2nd of 2022. Now, I just dropped something. What helped to charge Rob Tellis is that it was caught on Ring video. It was caught on Ring video. And the person who was seen walking towards Gehrman, it's spelled German, German, but it's pronounced Gehrman. The person walking toward Gehrman's house on the day of the murder was wearing an orange reflective vest, jeans, long sleeve shirt, and a giant straw hat and gloves in 110-degree heat. And although he couldn't really be identified from the Ring video, it was a cameraman who had done an interview of him in the past who pointed out, costume fail is right, Robbie Ropes, who pointed out that despite the fact that he may be able to disguise his body, he could not disguise his gait, G-A-I-T, or the way he walked. And leave it to a cameraman to figure that out, right? So they had some video footage of him, a walking shot that this cameraman had taken, and they compared it with the walking shot of this person in costume, and they determined that perhaps they had enough to consider him a suspect. They also found DNA, as I said, under Jeff Gehrman's fingernails that matches Rob Tellis. They also found in Rob Tellis's house, after they got a warrant, because they do things right over there in Las Vegas, a cut-up straw hat, a duffel bag that looked similar to the duffel bag also that this person was carrying, and some cut-up sneakers in his house. And then they also figured out that his wife's car, even though he left his cell phone at home because he was smart, if it was him, he was smart. He left his cell phone home. His wife's car traveled to Gehrman's house and then back to the Tellis house on the day of the murder. Snowcat Tish is into this case. She's excited. Says the hat was fine, common in Vegas desert. Bright orange reflective sweatshirt in 100-degree weather. That's noticeable. I think it was 110. But I think he was trying to blend in as a landscaper or perhaps a town worker, or, he copied maybe the outfits that they wore so that he wouldn't be found out. But, right. Thanks, Team Brittany. Spoiler alert. If you cut stuff up, it doesn't disappear. No, it doesn't disappear. Why keep pieces of the shoes? This is great. This is going to be a great story. And what I found so interesting in some of the parallels of things that were other cases that we've been covering lately is that this investigative journalist who is out there trying to uncover corruption at all levels for over 40 years may or may not have met his demise by somebody that he wrote articles about. And they also were in a Twitter war before the death of Jeff Gehrman. And we're going to look at that. Rob Tellis was, stupid enough to tweet some things about Jeff Gehrman. and how Jeff Garman was ruining his life and his marriage and everything else. That also may play a role in the prosecution here. So this is going to be interesting. The jury selection is scheduled to start on Monday in Las Vegas, 4 p.m. Eastern. And the prosecution intends to call 20 witnesses. The defense has about 10 witnesses. And this is really crazy, Kim. That's what some other people have also said to me. People go crazy. And I haven't really found, it's been mostly a local story. I think Vinny did a story on it yesterday on his new show, his new investigative show. But this is really a good one, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I think we're going to like watching it together because that's what we do here. And, there's really nothing funny about this at all, but we like to try and make some comedy sometimes because if we don't make each other laugh, we just might cry. Thank you, Danielle Alexander, for being a member for 7 months, for loving this channel, and for appreciating me. I appreciate each and every one of you right back, including my friend Justin Green, who sent me a Cash App before this stream even started. And thank you, Laura D. Thank you, Laren D, for your super sticker. Mary for becoming a member. And Queen Olive, who says she's been here for longer than 3 months. Why does it only say 3 months? Channel's only a year old, so we just started a year ago. We're here, and we're in an unofficial competition with Vinny Politan that he knows nothing about. To beat him in subscribers, I need about 5,000 more. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscriber button below, it's free. You'll help me in my personal quest to beat him in subscribers. He knows nothing about it. Pilgrim Shadow, since it's Vegas, I've been gambling hereabouts for 10 good solid years. If I told you about all that went down, it would burn off both your ears. You don't want to hear my voice right now because it is beat. But thank you so much for all your Grateful Dead quotes, Pilgrim Shadow, every day, and for thanking the mods for keeping the channel so pure. We try. It is like an official murder mystery. Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Meg. All right, so let's take a look first at the initial arrest reports. I like to go to local news for this because they seem to always have the best coverage. They're kind of, well, this is News Nation, so I shouldn't have said that first, but they are very invested, the local Las Vegas stations. So let's take a look at this. This happens to be from News Nation, and this was around the time of the arrest. This piece is from September 8th of 2022. So Rob Tellis was arrested shortly after the murder. What's so interesting here too is that he was held without bail, and he continued to act as the public administrator for Clark County while he was in jail. And he argued to the court that he should be allowed to because he can do it while he's in jail. No worries. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's also interesting too, because this murder happened less than 2 years ago and it's already going to trial. Even though he waived his right to a speedy trial, he wants this thing to go to trial. It's going starting Monday, and we're covering it. And I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. Well, that's not the right layout for this. Let's see. The Canton Police Department leaf blower convention will be convening very shortly. I can hear them starting up right outside my window. So we'll see how it goes. Come on, man. All right. This is News Nation, September 8th, 2022. Catching up.
Live look at Las Vegas, where police have singled out a suspect accused of killing investigative journalist Jeff Garman. Local county official Robert Tellis has officially been charged with murder in connection to Garman's death. In a press conference earlier today, police say DNA evidence collected at Tellis's home linked him to this crime. Police releasing surveillance video showing a man in a bright orange vest and that large straw hat walking around.
So this is the costume that he chose for himself. Hold on.
Surveillance video showing a man in a.
this giant straw hat, orange reflective vest, and I think jeans. He's carrying that duffel bag and those sneakers. Take a look at those sneakers because that's what was allegedly found inside his house once they got the warrant. Take a look.
Bright orange vest and that large straw hat, walking around the neighborhood where Gehrman was found stabbed to death last Friday. Police now believe it was Tellis. Following more evidence they collected, they say they found shoes cut up, but noticed a blood smear on the sole, later confirming it matched DNA left behind at the crime scene. Investigators also found a cut up straw hat. It strongly resembled the hat the prime suspect was seen wearing in that surveillance footage. Police do believe both items were cut up in an attempt to destroy evidence. Tellis appeared in court several hours ago. He is now facing an open murder charge, which is a combination of first and second degree murder. A judge has ordered he be held on no bail. Prosecutors say Gehrman was stabbed 7 times when he was leaving his home last Friday. They say he was fighting for his life, indicating he had several defensive wounds. Also, DNA from Gehrman's hands and fingernails matched Tellis's DNA at the crime scene. Tellis is due back in court next week.
And yet, he claims that he was being framed. He claims he was being framed by law enforcement.
Thank you for watching.
That was all the way back in September of 2022. Here, my friends, is some evidence that was shown to the grand jury before his indictment. And this was from November 2nd of 2022. This is coming to you from Fox 5 Las Vegas.
Of a Las Vegas investigative reporter caught on camera. Fox 5 has obtained shocking video through a public records request for the evidence presented to a grand jury.
Jeff Gehrman of the Las Vegas Review-Journal was killed outside his home in September. Police say the killer was Robert Tellis.
And that's his mugshot, okay? He looks scary as hell to me. He looks scary as hell to me in his mugshot, but we're going to look at some video of him in his office, you know, smiley and some campaign commercials. But that is his mugshot. And on the left is the deceased investigative reporter, Jeff Gehrman, who was, I believe, 69 years old at the time of his death.
Former public administrator of Clark County, Kim Passoff, joins us live to break it down for us.
And John and Jacqueline, tonight, Tellis is in lockup here at CCDC awaiting trial. That video of the murder, we are choosing not to show the moments when it happened, but we will show you before and after as the perpetrator ran away. This is security camera video from a neighbor's home across the street from Jeff Gehrman's, recording on the day of his murder.
Imagine ring camera footage or ring cameras that work across the street from where a crime occurs. Imagine that. Crazy times, right?
Prosecutors say the figure in orange is Robert Tellis walking to the side of Gehrman's home. At approximately 11:18 a.m., the figure in orange walks to the west side of the victim's home through the side gate and into the backyard. Prosecutors say he was lying in wait, waiting to strike. At approximately
And in broad daylight, no less. In broad daylight, he's doing this. In 110-degree heat, in broad daylight. Not the smartest guy, or not the sharpest tool in the box or shed, or however you want to say it.
Approximately 11:23, 5 minutes later, the victim's garage door opened and Gehrman walked across the driveway toward the side gate. Seconds after opening the gate, investigators say Tellis attacked. This is a picture of investigators at the scene of the murder in the grand jury documents. We are choosing not to show the video clip that appears to have captured the murder as it happened. 2 figures are seen through the bushes in a struggle, one in bright orange, another in a light color. The figure in orange, identified by prosecutors as Tellis, is then seen running away. This is video of the murder.
And it's his walk that caught him. Watch the way he walks. It's distinctive. And the cameraman who had photographed him, or who had some video of him during, I think, his campaign or his re-election campaign, noticed his gait and said, this is the way he walks. Watch.
By prosecutors as Tellis is then seen running away. This is video of the murder suspect released to the media days after the killing. Also in the grand jury documents, evidence found inside of Tellis's home when a search warrant was served. Ripped up shoes, some parts in small pieces in a Ziploc bag, a straw hat.
In small pieces in a Ziploc bag. This was days later.
Also partially destroyed, and a gray bag matching one being carried by Gehrman's killer. This is the breakdown shown to the grand jury, who indicted Tellis on murder with a deadly weapon, with the victim over 60 years old. And Tellis is accused of killing Gehrman because he was unhappy about his investigative reporting about him. Tellis is scheduled to be in court tomorrow for a status check in his case. Reporting live downtown, Kim Passoff, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
Okay, so that's old. That was from right after the murder. Was there a motive, Diane? Yeah, you know what the motive was? The reporter had written, I think, 4 hit pieces about Rob Tellis in the months leading up to the murder, including what a toxic boss he was, creating a hostile work environment for many of the women who worked in his office, which was the public administrator's office of Clark County, Nevada. And also wrote a hit piece about him exposing a potential affair that he had with a coworker, because the women secretly videotaped a backseat meeting that Tellis had with their co-employee, let's say, where the two of them got out of the backseat of the car. And he claimed it was just, she was a confidant. So that is the motive. There's so many cases that we've watched lately with the motives that were kind of slim and none, right? Or very sus. Let's take a look at the social media feud that occurred on Twitter between these two. Because this is interesting, and it's like what's going on out there in the cesspool of Twitter. If you're on there, you see this every single day, although most people hide behind fake names. This guy, not so smart. And this is coming at you from KTNV Channel 13 Las Vegas, which has a great series on this case. They've done some really great investigative reporting. And all of the reporters in Las Vegas are so personally affected by this because it was one of their own that was murdered. Jeff Gehrman was a investigative journalist for over 40 years. And this guy wasn't afraid of, organized crime figures. He investigated and wrote hit pieces about a guy named Tony the Ant Spilatro. And you may recognize that name or maybe not, but Joe Pesci played Tony the Ant Spilatro in the 1995 film Casino. And so he had reported on some of the most dangerous crime figures of the time. And allegedly, this is the guy who got him. So let's see. The Twitter war. He reported on Spilato. Yeah, isn't that cool?
Tricia, let's start with today and then work backwards. As police investigators were...
All right, let me tell you what today is, because otherwise I don't want people to get confused. Today, this was September 7th of 2022.
Serving that search warrant at the Tellis home. This county building that houses his office and the public guardian's office was temporarily shut down. You can see the signs from Clark County right here. They even are directing mail and delivery services to bring things to the coroner's office next door. 13 Investigates learned that Tellis came to work yesterday for only about 2 hours, and today he was a no-show. Rewind to Monday when neighbors say they saw some strange activity at Tellis's home.
We moved here 7 years ago, and he was here before us, so it did seem a little bit suspicious.
Dave Zanella lives 2 houses away.
My daughter brought it to my attention and said that he's putting up a camera, and we just spoke about it, briefly, saying that, well, He's been there a long time. I don't know why he'd be putting up cameras right now.
Back in May, Jeff Gehrman published his first article on the Clark County Public Administrator's Office, writing that it has been mired in turmoil and internal dissension over the past 2 years, with allegations of emotional stress, bullying, and favoritism, leading to secret videotaping of the boss and a coworker outside the office.
So his first article, Jeff Gehrman's first article, was May 16th of 2022. And he was dead by September 2nd of 2022, less than 4 months later.
Gehrman reported allegations of a hostile work environment fueled by the elected administrator of the office, Robert Tellis, carrying on an inappropriate relationship with a staffer that has harmed the office's ability to deal with the public in overseeing the estates of those who have died. Gehrman further wrote, because of the brewing animosity, the top supervisor under Tellis, Rita Reed, decided to run against him in this year's Democratic primary. As the election date neared, Tellis posted this campaign video on YouTube that he titled, "The Tragic Scene I Found."
A few years ago, when I started.
Okay, so here's his campaign video. He's going to talk about how great he's doing in office. First of all, why he couldn't put a shirt and tie on is beyond. I mean, I know it's Las Vegas. I know it's hot, but really a V-neck Hanes t-shirt for your re-election campaign commercial? I don't know. All right, we're going to get a little hint of his personality here as he pats himself on the back.
My first term, I found a disturbing situation at the office. Unfortunately, I found that there were cases that weren't being closed and hadn't been closed for years. I also found that checks to families were waiting to go out so long that the checks went stale before the families could get them.
I mean, tell me he doesn't look like Boss Baby. Anybody who knows what Boss Baby looks like, I have a picture on the thumbnail.
Tragically, there were even situations where the family members died before they could receive their own checks. But I'm very happy to say that we've turned that all around.
How fake does that smile look? Is it me? Is it me? Am I being unfair to him? I mean, he's got crazy eyes. I'm just saying. Innocent until proven guilty.
Under my leadership.
Video came out in the wake of a county decision, as Gehrman reported, to hire former Clark County Coroner Mike Murphy to tackle friction in the public administrator's office after multiple claims of bullying and favoritism.
I'd like to ask you for your help now. I'd like to ask you to please be sure to vote for me in this year's election.
In June, as it was becoming clear.
And I think it was the cameraman who filmed that piece that noticed his walk, but he was wearing a different shirt. That one, I think he actually had a button down in, so maybe not.
That Tellis would lose the primary election, he began to push back online against worker abuse allegations, and he attacked the Review Journal's investigative reporting. In a blog that reads more like a rant, he accuses Gehrman and his opponent of turning Democratic voters against him. He wrote, "The article was intentionally gut-wrenching. It was so..."
Well, let's read the first paragraph, which she's not reading. It says, it says, addressing the false claims against me. While many of you have contacted me with support, I know that some may believe the allegations made in the article by the local right-wing paper. You may believe that I betrayed your trust. You may believe that I am not the man I have always portrayed myself to be. Some of you may not know all the good work that I have done for Las Vegas. I hope by the end of this page, you will see what I know to be true. The article was false, and he's talking about Jeff Gehrman's article.
So ugly that you almost had to believe it was true. I can understand why you might have, with the writer's skill at pushing buttons. Also, the timing of the article was very convenient for my opponent. He added, "They are seeking to destroy me, both personally and professionally."
It's scary.
Interesting how he said pushing buttons. Like, he's admitting that his buttons were pushed by Jeff Gehrman. That's interesting. Seems that way, if indeed he is the one who took Jeff Gehrman's life.
To think about.
Another of Tellis's neighbors, Devin Bonadeo, has been following the story.
With the media and politics getting so closely intertwined, I think it's just been, it's been a gross interaction with those two, and that just goes to show what it's looking like and the road it's going down.
Road continues on Twitter on June 18th when Tellis accuses Gehrman of going through his family's trash. He calls Gehrman a bully who slings BS. He tweets,
Okay, we got to go back a little bit and read the actual tweets. Here, these tweets are from June 18th. Quote, wife hears rustling in the trash. Her, honey, is there a wild animal in the trash? Me, no dear, looks like it's Jeff Gehrman going through our trash for his fourth story on me. Oh, Jeff, and then he adds like a laughing, crying emoji. And then he says, oh, shoot, I left a pizza box and sushi containers in the trash. In the next article, I'm going to have mob and Yazuka ties. Typical bully can't take a pound of criticism after clinging 100 pounds of BS. I think that's probably meant to say slinging, but it says clinging.
On Twitter on June 18th, when Tellis accuses Gehrman of going through his family.
Up to article number 4 now, you'd think he'd have better things to do. Sticking out tongue emoji.
Trash. He calls Gehrman a bully who slings BS. He tweets, looking forward to lying smear piece number 4 by Jeff Gehrman. I think he's mad that I haven't crawled into a hole and died. Hashtagging Gehrman as a one-trick pony. Tellis also posted text conversations he had with Gehrman, accusing the reporter.
It says here in this tweet, which was from can't really see the date on this one. Does the Las Vegas Review-Journal know that Jeff Gehrman may be doing double duty on their dime? Do they know he basically made a veiled threat to make me take down my site with the truth after I already lost the election?
Tellis also posted text conversations he had with Gehrman, accusing the reporter of making a veiled threat to make him take down his site after losing the election. Now, according to the Review-Journal, Gehrman was planning another potential article. He'd recently filed public records requests for emails and text messages between Tellis and 3 county officials. Those are Assistant Public Administrator Rita Reed, Estate Coordinator Roberta Lee Kennett, and Consultant Michael Murphy. Lee Kennett was identified in Gehrman's previous stories as a subordinate staffer allegedly involved in an inappropriate relationship with Tellis. Live at the Public Administrator's Office, I'm 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears. Tricia?
Well, Darcy, we know that Tellis has lived in Clark County now for more than 20 years and that he graduated from UNLV's Boyd Law School. What else have you learned about him and his ties here to our community?
Well, Tricia, we've learned that he and his wife have 3 children. He's a lawyer who practiced probate law before being elected to the Public Administrator's Office. He did have a page on the Las Vegas Rotary Club's website, which was taken down at some point today. That page said that Tellis sat on committees at the Latin Chamber of Commerce, the Clark County Bar Association, the Las Vegas Rotary Club, and Las Vegas's ATech Academy. Tricia.
Father of 3, willing to risk it all because he didn't like an article that this guy wrote about him allegedly. Attorney Adam Lally is in the house. Lal, your argument yesterday was a little not so great, but thanks for tuning in, and please be sure to hit the like button. Is he pro se? I thought I saw that somewhere. He was. Now he's not. Now he has a pretty high-powered, for the area, defense attorney. But I pulled for you some footage that I really enjoyed watching. And it was the judge giving him the speech about, here's why you probably should not represent yourself. We're going to pull that up in a minute. Let's just watch a quick piece about him pleading not guilty. I think they show him in court here as well. What is also interesting about this case is that he has said that he is going to testify. He can't wait to tell his story. So this is going to be a great trial. I can't wait. Counting the hours.
our top story, new information in the case of the man accused of killing investigative journalist Jeff Gehrman. Thanks for being here. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. Prosecutors say they will not seek the death penalty against Robert Tullis. That's while the former elected official claims he's innocent.
8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy reports on what unfolded in court.
Thanks, Melly. Robert Draskovich is
Robert Tullis pleading not guilty
currently
to murder here in court. This appearance marking the first time his former coworker saw him since his arrest.
Said some prayers and also just looked at him and was just very saddened by what had happened and how somebody could do.
Okay, so this woman, Rita Reed, is one of the women who appeared on which one did I watch? The 48 Hours piece. And she was one of the women who complained about him. And I think she's now currently, or after he was taken out of office, the public administrator. So that's kind of interesting too. But you can bet that all these women will be testifying at the trial.
The things he's charged with doing.
Assistant Public Administrator Rita Reed and her coworkers in the courtroom as their former boss
Robert Richard Tullis.
is charged with murder.
Are you familiar with the charge that you're facing?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that charge?
Yes, sir.
Ask that charge, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
We saw both faces, both sides of him, and not everybody saw the evil side that we did.
Prosecutors announcing they will not seek the death penalty against Tullis. The former Clark County public administrator is accused of killing Review Journal investigative reporter Jeff Gehrman on September 3rd. Tullis lost the Democratic primary to keep his position after Reed and other employees worked with Gehrman to expose problems under Tullis's leadership. Reed wears a
Couple of things. Somebody said he wasn't an attorney. Yes, he absolutely was an attorney. You have to be an attorney to be the public administrator. And also, it's not a 5-day trial. There are going to be 10 witnesses for the defense and 20 for the prosecution. I don't think it's a 5-day trial. I think they said at least 2 weeks, maybe 3. So 10 to 15 days, I think they said.
In with a photo of the slain journalist. After court, she and her team head back to the office Gehrman worked to fix.
Jeff Gehrman, gave his life. His life was taken to make a government office better. And we are forever grateful for Jeff for that.
The next court appearance for Tullis is set for November 2nd. Reporting at the Regional Justice Center in downtown Las Vegas, Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
Yes, he was a probate attorney. He went to law school. And to be a public administrator, you have to be an attorney because you're appointed to represent estates as an attorney. So there's that. I will link the 48 Hours episode later. I don't want you to go watch it now. I want you to go watch it later. Everyone can have some homework. Thank you. I'm Just a Girl in the World for your generous super sticker. You're always such a great supporter of this channel, as always. So, our defendant here, Rob Tellez, also has a history of maybe domestic violence, and there is some body cam footage going all the way back to 2020 when his wife called 911 to report him. And it's interesting. So I want to watch it with you. Now, this is not related to this case, but it may go to his propensities. And this goes back to 2020, and you can see his attitude when he's arrested. So I'm going to just give you a quick sensitive material warning. Although I did watch it, and I don't think it's that graphic. Hold on.
Bro, I'm not trying to breathe. I'm not trying to breathe. The family's in there. All right, do you want to hold him here? I'll bring my car up. don't do anything more stupid than you've already done, please. Oh my God! What the hell am I? Our cameras are on. Cameras. Can anybody tell me who I hit? Who the hell did I hit? Who did I hit? Because I didn't hit anybody. Who did I hit?
Great Dane mom says he sounds drunk. He sure does. He admits in a Jailhouse interview that we're going to watch also to a reporter that he was an alcoholic at some point. That's right. Phantom Billy Zane. I met Billy Zane one time at the Sunset Tower bar a couple of years ago. Had dinner with him and his friend. It was pretty cool. He's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy, but he does look like Billy's. That's creepy that you said that now.
Who did I hit? Because I didn't hit anybody. This is like totally like, you guys just want to take me down because I'm a public official. No, we don't. Did I hit? I didn't hit anybody. I didn't touch anybody. You guys just want to take me down because I am a public official. You just want to take me down because I'm a public official. I did not touch anybody. I haven't hurt anybody. I am just being approached, and like, you guys just want to take me down because I'm a public official. That's it. I'm a public official. I'm sure your supervisors will love to see this body camera when they see it. I'm a public official, and that's all you want to do. Arrowhead on it. Take me down.
See, it's like, don't you know who I am? Don't you know who I am? I'm a public official. I'm a public official. Word to the wise, don't ever speak. If this ever happens to you, God forbid, and don't ever try and tell them who you are. Don't you know who I am?
For being a public official. Why you take me down? I haven't touched anybody. I haven't hurt anybody. It looks like it's broken. This is a civil rights violation. You guys just want to take me down. I haven't touched anybody. This is my home. I haven't hurt anybody. I haven't touched anybody. I love my family. I love my wife. You guys want to take me down. That's all it is. Why are you taking me away from my friggin' house? Why do you have any suspicious? Sit back. I'm. What do you have any cost to take me home? Why do you have any cost to take me? You're not making any sense right now, dude. Do you have any cost to take me, Brian?
Thanks,
do you have any cost to take me?
This seatbelt's being stupid.
What does it cost to take me?
So I can go to the other side.
Yeah, it's. I mean, look, this goes to his tendencies,
I've not touched anyone.
his propensities for violence, maybe.
I've not touched anyone. I'm just telling you too. I haven't touched anyone. I have not touched anyone. I've not touched anyone.
Hold on.
So you get the gist of that. That was body cam footage from his 2020 arrest when his wife called 911 and said that she was, I think she said she was being choked, correct? Does have the right to remain silent, and he's pretty much proven during that body cam footage that he's an absolute idiot. Here are the court proceedings in which those charges were dismissed in 2020. And this is again KTNV, Channel 13, Las Vegas. They published this story. This was after his arrest in the Jeff Garman matter. It's a story about his criminal history.
County Public Administrator Robert Tellis was being sentenced for resisting arrest back in 2020. The judge calling the punishment a sweetheart deal. Tellis is currently facing murder charges in the stabbing death of Review Journal reporter Jeff Gehrman. As 13 Investigates first reported, Tellis was arrested for another violent crime in the past, domestic violence involving his wife.
Look at the smile on his face. Look at the smile on his face. I bet you anything he convinced his wife to drop the charges, and he's so happy back then that he knew that it was just going to be released and he was going to have to go to some angry drunk classes. Listen.
Another violent crime in the past, domestic violence involving his wife. It was his second year he was in public office. In February of 2020, the public official was drunk and arguing with his wife at the Bellagio. The argument continued in the car and at home, escalating to physical violence. His wife called Metro, and Tellis resisted arrest when police arrived at the family home. Tellis negotiated a deal for the domestic violence charge to be dropped, but was sentenced for resisting a public officer. Municipal Judge Burt Brown admonished Tellis in court.
First thing you'll need to do is stay out of trouble, and we call that a broad stay out of trouble. No new criminal offenses, no arrests, no citations. You'll have to attend, pay for, and complete the corrective thinking class, which is given online. It costs
a corrective thinking class. Corrective thinking class. So interesting how the scroll below it is talking about COVID. So this was in 2020. This was during the panty.
$60. You also need to post $418. We call this a bail forfeiture amount, but basically it's a fine to you in that amount, $418. And if you do all these things, you'll get the best result that you can get out of a criminal matter, and that is the dismissal.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's a good deal. Keep it in your hands, out of mine. Agreed?
I agree, Your Honor.
And the charge was formally dismissed March 30th of last year.
Interesting stuff. He's got a history. He's got a history. So this judge is kind of interesting. She reminds me of Cyndi Lauper. And I wanted to take a look. Her name is Michelle Leavitt. And in March of 2023, she gives him a little speech about wanting to represent himself. He had fired 3 lawyers. And the audio isn't that great, so I'm going to try and talk a little quieter so that you can turn your devices up. But it's going to give you a little sneak peek into what this judge is like and what we're going to be in for when the trial starts next week. And I thought this was a very interesting speech that she gave to him when she's convincing him, please do not represent yourself. Please, please, please don't do it. Not a smart idea. And after that, he tried to get her recused from the case. So take a listen to this.
I'm just trying to point out that you really don't know much about the charge against you. And you can still represent yourself if you think that's wise, but I'm just pointing out to you, you don't know very much about what you're coming up against.
Accused murderer Robert Tellis elects to represent himself as he stands trial for the high-profile murder of a Las Vegas investigative reporter.
You just indicate you want to represent yourself for a couple months. I mean, I'm not playing games with you. This is very, very serious. You are charged with first-degree murder. I mean, you're facing life without the possibility of parole. I would think that you would take it a little more serious.
Tellis appeared in court on Tuesday as presiding judge Michelle Leavitt went through nearly 45 minutes of questioning to determine whether he is fit to act as his own attorney.
It is not a game. I will not allow you to treat it as a game. And you're a lawyer and you know, oh, I want to represent myself for 2 months until I can get a new lawyer. You want a new lawyer? That's fine. I'll give you time to hire a new lawyer.
Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot, I would prefer to represent myself.
Tellis, a former Nevada County administrator, was arrested last year after Las Vegas Review-Journal reporter Jeff Gehrman was found stabbed to death outside of his home on September 4th. After his death, investigators released surveillance photos of a suspect and a vehicle of interest. Days later, Tellis was arrested in connection to Gehrman's murder.
Hey, you understand you do have the right to be represented by counsel.
I do.
Is it me, or does her voice not sound like Cyndi Lauper? She has a Cyndi Lauper voice, and her look kind of looks like this is not a very good tight shot of her, but we'll see if we can find one after this. She's a hoot, right?
Be represented by counsel at all critical stages.
I do.
And you understand that it's almost always more wise to be represented by counsel.
I do.
Especially when you're being charged with first-degree murder and facing life without the possibility of parole.
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
Prior to his death, Gurman published a series of investigative reports on Tellez, accusing him of abusing staff in his public administrator office by bullying and engaging in inappropriate sexual relationships. After Gurman's articles were published, Tellez lost his bid for re-election and even lashed out at Gurman via Twitter.
If you're just tuning in, we did read those tweets earlier, so later you can rewind and watch them. And listen to them as I read them.
But you want to dismiss your attorney because he can't be, and quite frankly, I think in a first-degree murder case, a November 6th trial date is pretty aggressive.
Well, I appreciate the concern, Your Honor, but I do want to go ahead and continue forward.
Is she the judge that dude jumped on a while back? That's so interesting because when I was doing my research on this, that video popped up and I'm like, why'd that video pop up? Just because it was in Las Vegas? But she's the same judge. Do you guys remember when that defendant leapt over the bench and tackled the judge? That was her, Thomas? Oh, crazy coincidence, because now we get to see her in action.
Video of Tuesday's hearing shows Judge Leavitt quizzing Tellez on his background as an attorney, noting that he has little experience practicing criminal law.
Where did you practice law? And what kind of law?
I own my own law firm.
Okay, what kind of law did you practice?
Probate in the state law.
So civil?
She's like, so what kind of law did you practice? Probate and estates. She's like, so civil? And you want to represent yourself in a first-degree murder case where you could be looking at life in prison because they did take the death penalty off the table for him.
Correct.
Did you ever do any criminal?
I did some criminal.
Tellez argues that even though his experience in criminal court may be lacking, he could do better than his defense attorney, Damian Sheets. Sheets is the third defense attorney Tellez hired since his arrest.
How many of those do you think you did?
Half a dozen or so.
So 6? DUIs and or battery domestic violence?
Correct.
Have you ever represented anyone on a felony?
No.
Okay. Did you take any criminal law classes in law school?
Criminal law and criminal procedure. Yes.
She's really trying to get him to not represent himself. He is represented now. This was a little while ago. But he did represent himself for a little while. And after this, he tried to get her recused. Trentino, I kind of feel the same way. He says, I'm hoping for a case where I don't end up hating the prosecution. There have been far too many shady prosecutors lately. I want a breath of fresh air. That's why when I started looking into this case yesterday, all day, last night, that's what I was feeling too. And I think this is going to be it. We need sort of like a debrief because so many of you wrote me emails and comments after the Ashley Benefield trial that you didn't even want to watch trials anymore. So I'm going to convince you to still watch trials. And perhaps this is the one to do it.
Okay. You think that has equipped you to represent yourself?
Not just that, Your Honor.
Thanks, Magnolia Gypsy.
Why do you want to represent yourself?
If you're just listening, we have settled the bet. It is not her. It is not she who was tackled by that defendant. It was Clark County District Court Judge Mary Kay Holthus was the judge attacked. Same county though, Clark County, right?
Again, there are a few different concerns, to be frank. I want to make sure that, number one, because we unfortunately couldn't see eye to eye on when the trial should be, me and Mr. Sheets. And Mr. Sheets, great attorney, really good man.
Yes, he is.
But
That's why it's kind of surprising you would put yourself in this position.
But again, this is a temporary situation. I intend to represent myself for at least a couple of months while I make sure that I'm in a position to hire another attorney. Because again,
okay, no, we're not playing games. Okay, so Mr. Tellez, we're not playing games.
Okay.
You're not going to represent yourself for a couple months and then hire someone else. If you want to hire someone else, that's fine. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that.
Well, I want to represent myself, Your Honor.
Tellez tells Judge Leavitt he wants to represent himself to expedite his coming trial. She disagrees, though, saying a trial of this magnitude cannot be rushed.
So throughout the process, you're going to represent yourself at trial.
If that's the choice in this, Your Honor.
Okay, what is the issue the date of trial?
I don't know if the court received my non-opposition and my motion to reset the trial date. I do.
When do you want the trial date?
Likely August or September, Your Honor.
It's hard for me to believe you want to dismiss Mr. Sheets.
I understand.
Okay, but you want to dismiss him
Yes, sir.
because you think you're going to get a trial date earlier?
Again, that would be the most.
Interesting, Raramonti, because he waived speedy trial, and this thing's going to trial within 2 years of the crime. So I don't know that he was stalling. He really wanted to move the trial date up. And I think his attorneys were telling him, dude, there's so much discovery we have to go through. And he's like, no, no, no. He just wants to get on the stand and declare his innocence because ego. We saw the ego in the body cam footage from the 2020 DV arrest.
Appropriate thing to say, yes.
Okay, but you
Yes.
probably won't.
Okay.
I mean, do you understand, does that change your analysis?
No, no.
Okay, you still want to represent yourself even if you have to go to trial in November.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you understand that once you decide on self-representation, you don't get to change your mind.
I don't know. I think I love her. I just think I love her right now. I think this is exactly what we need. What say you? I'm loving her.
In the middle of the proceedings and request an attorney.
Yes, sir.
Because I think I made it pretty clear we're not playing games here.
Right.
And that even if you represent yourself, you're probably not going to get that trial date moved up. Okay, because again, I really think that November date was an aggressive trial date.
As the hearing continues, Judge Leavitt repeatedly asks Tellez if he understands what he's committing to.
And you understand that criminal law is a complex area where experience and professional training is both required and desirable.
Yes, sir.
You understand you don't have that. I mean, you have legal training, but you don't have the legal, nowhere near what Mr. Sheets has or Mr. Hamner from the state.
I appreciate the concern, Your Honor.
She's really, she's really being nice. And she's like, listen, you don't have the training, you don't have the experience. You're allowed to do it if you want to, but she couldn't have tried to convince him anymore. She does Meg says she reminds me of 90s Madonna. And I love me Madonna. I do too. The pearls, the gum chewing, the blonde hair, the voice, she's unique. Thank you, Tara Christine. I don't know if she's chewing gum or she's got a loose tooth. I can't figure it out. But yeah, this is going to be so interesting. He did try and get her to recuse herself, Susie Q. Thanks. And she didn't. So she's the judge. It's going to be at the trial next week.
I'm not here to give you concern. I'm here to ask questions and you're here to answer them, okay? So you understand that criminal law is a very complex area of law, and you do not, based on what you're telling me, have the legal training or experience in that area.
I think it's a compound question. I'd say that, yes, I understand.
Compound question.
I don't know that.
Hold on. Let me move the QR code here so we can get a look at him. He's telling her it's a compound question. She's going to ask him if he knows the rules of evidence and how to object and stuff. This is so interesting.
The compound question. I'd say that, yes, I understand the concern, and I don't know that, I won't be
If
effective
you think it's
representing myself.
compound, answer the first one, then the second one.
So then, yes and no.
Okay, so you don't have the experience. You've told me you've represented misdemeanors, you've never represented anyone in a felony. How do you think you're going to prepare yourself to be ready to go to trial?
That's trial strategy, Your Honor.
Okay, you're in custody, so you understand that you don't have available to you a law library, the ability to research whatever you want, file motions. You understand? I guess you can file motions, but you do not have like what Mr. Sheets has.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you understand that criminal law is a complex area?
I do.
Even though you really never practiced in a felony courtroom, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And you understand that the attorneys from the state of Nevada, they're some of their most experienced attorneys on this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
With multiple years of practice, and all they do is prosecute category A felonies. Do you understand that?
I do, Your Honor.
You understand you would be up against that.
Yes, sir.
And you understand that the court can't help you?
Yes, sir.
That you would be, on your own because you decide.
The court can't help you, which is so funny to hear because he's a pro se. He was. He's not anymore. He is represented. We're just watching this to get a feel for the judge, to get a feel for the defendant, because he gets to speak a lot during this hearing in which he tries to convince the judge to let him represent himself. She does, but now he has an attorney. So just to clear that up, if you're just tuning in, she says, I can't help you. I can't help you because you're going to be on your own. How different is that? How different is that from the the Dedham, Norfolk County case of Karen Reed that we just watched, where it seemed like the judge in that case was helping the Commonwealth attorney, the prosecutor's attorney. Mr. Lally, do you want to object? Do you want to object? Asking witnesses, can you answer that? You know, she was very helpful to the prosecution in that case. And this judge is telling this defendant, look, you're going to be on your own. I can't help you. Very interesting. Breath of fresh air.
Decided to represent yourself.
I understand that.
Multiple times, Judge Leavitt goes on record noting Tellez answered her questions incorrectly, again pointing out that he has little experience in criminal cases.
I mean, I'm just trying to make a record that you're not very knowledgeable about what's going to happen.
Oh,
but you
that's
still
going to hurt his ego.
represent yourself.
That is correct.
You could waive your right to a penalty hearing as well and allow the court. But again, you didn't know that, did you?
I did know
But
that.
Mr.
Again,
Sheets knows that.
in jury trials, I do understand that the charge or the sentence is imposed by the jury. Excuse me. Yes.
In what?
In a jury trial, if the verdict comes back guilty, then it's incumbent upon the jury to.
That's not true.
Okay.
Do you know how to select a jury in a criminal case? Do you know how many peremptory challenges you get?
I believe it's 12, but then I will certainly.
She's like, do you know how to select a jury in a criminal case? Do you know how many peremptory challenges you get?
Research that and find out.
Okay, so that's not correct. So I'm just telling you that that's not correct.
Judge Leavitt says multiple times that she believes it is unwise for him to represent himself.
You understand that it's you're the person that's on trial.
Yes, sir.
You know that a lot of times when it comes to ourselves, we are not very objective about ourselves, which is why it's always unwise to represent yourself in any matter, let alone a first-degree murder case.
I understand.
Okay, I understand that you understand the English language. Okay, so I need to know, when my questions call for a yes or no, I would ask you to answer accordingly, because I do understand.
I know that you understand the English language. It's like she's being dismissive without being dismissive. She's being snarky without being snarky. It's just so interesting to listen to her. I'm fascinated so far.
That you understand the English language. Because I don't think anyone ever does a good job representing themselves. It's always better to have someone that's objective and unbiased that can give you the appropriate advice. I mean, and I know you're a lawyer and you think you can represent yourself, but I don't think it's ever a good idea to represent yourself. I don't think it's a good idea to represent yourself in a misdemeanor case, let alone one where the consequences could be as severe as restricting your liberty for the rest of your life.
At one point, Judge Leavitt calls out Tellez, believing he clearly has no trial strategy in place.
And you think you're able to sit in judgment of that?
Again, Your Honor, that's discussing trial strategy.
I'm not asking any trial strategy.
No,
That is a general question. I'm not asking, I would not ask you what your trial strategy is, because it's pretty clear you don't have one at this point.
In the end, Judge Leavitt rules that Tellez will be allowed to represent himself.
And you understand that once you decide on self-representation, you don't get to change your mind in the middle of the proceedings and request an attorney?
Yes, sir.
Because I think I made it pretty clear we're not playing games here.
Right.
And that
I love how she talks with her hands. We're not playing games here. She is chewing gum. Somebody said, don't fault her for that. Maybe she got dry mouth. And yeah, that's true. I think it adds to her coolness factor. And Oblivious Benson pointed out that she loves that this judge is talking to Boss Baby like he's a baby. And she kind of is.
even if you represent yourself, you're probably not going to get that trial date moved up. Okay, because again, I really think that November date was an aggressive trial date. Okay, this time I'm going to make a determination that you are waiving your right to counsel, that you made that decision freely, voluntarily, and intelligently. So at this point, do you want standby counsel?
Standby counsel. So those of you who have been following Sarah Boone, she was denied standby counsel, right? I have not been following that one closely because I wanted to get to this one quickly because this trial is starting next week. So interesting. as this goes on a little bit.
Court was adjourned. Judge Leavitt made clear that Tellez could not change his mind about self-representation or argue ineffective counsel on appeal. From here, additional counsel could be appointed in Tellez's case. Reporting for Long Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
Yeah, she is Las Vegas, right? I love it. We're going to Sin City, my friends. We are going to Sin City. The glasses are the best part. OB, you used to have some pretty cool glasses too before you got your LASIK surgery. And now I see when I'm watching you live, you don't wear your glasses anymore. But you did have some pretty cool glasses before that. All right, so this judge, her name is Michelle Leavitt. And she's sitting in Clark County, Nevada. And he had some other hearings where he wanted her to recuse. He wanted a recusal of her. It was denied. Here's a little bit of a hearing where he wanted some better jail accommodations because, he needed 4-star hotel. Maybe he wanted to go to the Four Seasons. Let's just take a little bit of a look at this one. This was from April 5th of 2023. Get a little taste of this one with a different camera angle. This is from KTNV, Las Vegas.
Can engage in cruel and unusual punishment unless it infringes upon the rights of a protected class. And that's just absolutely not correct, Your Honor. And
Okay, what specifically are you seeking
So-
from this motion?
what I'm seeing at this point, because again, really what they've done is, well, I guess we want to get into it. At this point, I am seeking to have the sheriff speak to the administration at the detention center to open a dialogue about moving me to an area that better suits my safety while also, giving me an opportunity to engage in more research and also more recreation time. I was in that situation for about a couple of weeks before an informant raided my personal papers.
Uh-oh.
And there is, again, no...
An informant raided his personal papers. You can see perhaps some of the personality traits of someone who likes to blame everyone else for their problems. I don't like to diagnose people because, I'm just a lawyer. I'm not a shrink. But this is interesting.
No reason to not have me in a situation like that. I've gone ahead and included in my reply proof that the move was not made for my safety. It was really made, it was a temporary situation, basically made permanent because I annoyed classification with my request for status. And the response in my reply demonstrates that, Your Honor. So again, all I'm asking at this point is an open dialogue so we can see about getting moved to better accommodations.
Four Seasons has
No,
rooms?
I have not seen a reply.
Four Seasons?
I was not served the reply.
Mandalay Bay?
We served everyone on electronic service, so I don't know.
I did not receive it. So I don't even know what his reply says at this point. However, Mr. Tellez is appropriately, first off, he totally misunderstands the argument that I made in my pleadings. I'm not going to go into it and prolong this because actually I did point out that the 14th Amendment applies. But
He says he e-filed the papers and she says she didn't get them. It's one of the prosecutors. Carissa says, I live in the neighborhood across the street from him. He was arrested in the middle of the night and we were woken up by flashbangs and the SWAT team arresting him. It was wild. Yes. And then didn't he also threaten that he was going to take his own life? And then when they finally went in there, they brought him out on a stretcher and he did have some superficial wounds and they brought him to the hospital. That's insane. Carissa, if you want to send me an email and you want to ever come on camera and talk about it, that would be totally cool. I'm going to put my email up on the screen. Many of you have it and you send me emails and I always read them, but I don't always respond to them because like I said, I can't be your pen pal and I can't give you legal advice. But if you have information that's pertinent to the case that we're handling or one of the many cases that we're handling, or you have ideas for other cases, or you just want to vent, I'm here for you. But I can't respond because I get thousands of emails a day. The judge is a Long Island girl? Really, Robbie? Just like me? That's crazy. Oh, I love her even more now. I totally get it. I got to find out where she's from. Wonder if Lally could be our pen pal. Maybe. You could try writing to him. I'm sure his email address is on
Regardless of that, he is appropriately
I'm sure his email address is on the county website, Norfolk County.
housed according to what occurred in the jail. He doesn't have a right to a specific housing. He will be looked at to be rehoused as it's appropriate on a regular basis as every other inmate is. And if it's appropriate, he will be rehoused. But at this point, it is not appropriate. So he is where he needs to be. As to his access to all of the legal documents that he seeks, I'm sorry, he chose to represent himself, and as the saying goes, you made your bed, now you have to lay in it. The court went above and beyond of trying to explain to Mr. Tellis what it means to represent yourself, and he was fine with it. Ferretta is very, very clear, and the court bent over backwards to make sure.
Okay, so they're going to jibba jabba for a little while there. He wants better accommodations. They're not going to give them to him. He doesn't represent himself anymore. He is now represented by counsel. Hang on a second. This was a hearing on discovery 9 months ago, but I thought I had the hearing from the other day. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute, because it may be in my history. Let's stop sharing this. Go back to this. Take some questions. Thank you, Selena, for being a member for 2 months. Lori Petty Tank Girl. Thanks, Venus. Thanks, Venus, for your super sticker. Erin says this case has another level, though, because a third party is there. The reporter where the victim worked. They are fighting the state and law enforcement, too, against having to access all of his stuff, right? And they agreed that they're going to turn over all the stuff that did not involve confidential sources on Monday before the trial starts or before jury selection starts. And the judge, again, offered, we can put the case over for a while if you need time to go through all that discovery. And his attorney said no. They really want to go ahead with this on Monday. So this is going to be interesting. Let me see if I can find a piece of that. Let's take a look at the criminal complaint because I have that up as well. And that's what we do here. We look at documents. So we'll take a look at that first. This is the criminal complaint that was filed by the state of Nevada against Robert Tellis all the way back on September 12th of 2022. Criminal complaint. The defendant, above named, having committed the crimes of murder with use of a deadly weapon, victim 60 years of age or older, category A felony, in the manner following, to wit, that the said defendant on or about the 2nd day of September 2022, at and within the county of Clark, state of Nevada, did willfully, unlawfully, with malice aforethought, killed Jeffrey Gehrman, who was 60 years of age or older, with use of a deadly weapon, to wit, a knife, by stabbing the said Jeffrey Gehrman multiple times about the body, the said killing having been 1, willful, deliberate, and premeditated, and or 2, perpetrated by lying in wait for the said Jeffrey Gehrman, and or 3, perpetrated by abuse of an older person. All of which is contrary to the form, force, and effect of the statutes in such cases made and provided, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Nevada. Said complainant makes this declaration subject to the penalty of perjury. And that was signed September 8th, 2022, which I believe was the date of his arrest. There's another very interesting interview that he gave from the Jailhouse to a reporter. Let me see if I can find that for you because that is so interesting. And I think that was in Vinny's show from last night. So let me just pull that up for you because we do love Vinny Politan. I've been watching Vinny Politan for as long as I've been a lawyer, for at least 30 years, when he was covering the OJ case, because Court TV has had a reincarnation. Court TV was around during the OJ case. I believe I know when that was. It was in 1995 because it was the same year that Jerry Garcia died. And yesterday was the 29th year anniversary of Jerry Garcia's death. If you know, you know. And I believe that a few months later, that's when the OJ verdict came in. So let me just quickly find Vinny's show from last night. I have a very long history. I was watching a lot of videos about this. So just let me find that portion. And Mike King from Profiling Evil was on it. So you know what? Let's love Mike King. I've been on his show. He's been on my show. Let's give Mike King a little bit of airtime here. And after we're done watching this, go over and subscribe to Profiling Evil. In fact, Mike King's show, the first appearance, well, I don't know if it was the first appearance I did on Mike King's show, but that's where I met Vinny Politan. We were both guests on the same episode of Profiling Evil so many months ago.
I'll read for you the opening paragraph from this. The Clark County Public Administrator's Office, that's Tellis's office, has been mired in turmoil and internal dissension over the past 2 years with allegations of emotional stress, bullying, and favoritism, leading to secret videotaping. You listen to this? Secret videotaping of the boss and a coworker outside the office. Mike King, you've worked for the government.
Yay, Mike King.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is what journalists are supposed to do, right? Take a look at what's happening in public offices.
Exactly, Vinny. And, I think back to my time when I was chief of staff at the Attorney General's office, we would get allegations like this coming in, and you have an obligation to immediately dig into it. But when a news reporter comes and says, hey, I've got some heavy duty stuff here, I've got videotape, I've got people who are willing to come in and talk about problems in the office, feelings of coercion or favoritism, and in this particular case, relationships that are happening inside of the office where someone who has a supervisory role and a position of responsibility and power over a subordinate having a relationship with a subordinate. Those are all big, heavy-duty things.
And Erica Morse, for Robert Tellis being the subject of this investigation, right? A lot of people might just read the article and say, okay, yeah, a little bit of political corruption. But for Robert Tellis, this is...
For those of you who don't know, Melly is a moderator for Vinny Politan's private YouTube channel. So Melly, don't tell him about this fake competition that I have against him to beat him in his subscribership. I think I'm almost at 66,000. He's at 71. So I'm only 5,000 subs behind. So if you can just subscribe to this. But also, he's changed the format of his Court TV show. His 8 p.m. hour is still going to be closing arguments, right, Melly? Maybe you know. And then the second hour is this investigative stuff. And I heard him saying on his show yesterday, he's only got a 4-minute, he's only got 4 minutes for a wardrobe change. So Melly, maybe you can tell him about the the suits that he could put on with Velcro, the tearaway suits he could use. And then he dresses in, a black button down, sits on a stool for this second hour of his show. This is 9 o'clock hour on Court TV. And I love Vinny. I love him.
This is life. This is his livelihood that is at stake. And this journalist is not going to stop. This journalist is going to get the story.
Boss baby.
I love this journalist, and it just breaks my heart where we're at with this. But yes, absolutely. Tellis, listen, his campaign, all of his campaign stuff is family man, wholesome. He also came in as kind of a whistleblower with this whole victim check situation. And the communities don't like it. Voters don't like it when they bring somebody in who seems like a whistleblower, who kind of, I don't know, maybe uncovered other corruption and then use that to launch a bid or get into a public seat. And then a journalist comes along, drills real deep and finds out he's no better than the last guy he just replaced. So the other thing is, we don't know what other secrets may have existed. This could just be the tip of the iceberg. And if it was, Tellis may have just assumed or thought that Gehrman, had drilled down that deep and uncovered other secrets that may not have been exposed yet. We don't know how deep this went.
Yeah. This is like a journalist doing real journalism. There's people, he would go after corporations as well. Anyone that had some level of power, right? Someone who has some level of power.
Like you and I.
Exactly. I want to take a look at something else here. Now, despite Tellis denying allegations of having this inappropriate relationship with a member of the staff, the Las Vegas Review-Journal obtained footage that appears to show Tellis and his employee getting out of the back seat.
Yeah, okay, here's the footage. And I think it was the ladies who worked in his office that got this footage. They set up a camera somewhere in the parking garage, I think, of the public administrator's office. And their two cars are parked next to each other. And let me get myself out of the frame here a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. Thanks, SS Latimer, for becoming a member. You're awesome. And I'm just a girl in the world. Says this case sounds fascinating. I'm here for it. I'm here for it too. Dewey wants to know if pro se defendants are always narcissists. Pretty much. Listen, a lawyer, and I've said this before, makes the worst witness in the world because lawyers think they know better than everyone else in the courtroom. They always make the worst witnesses. So if he says he's going to testify in his own defense. I'm here for it. And it's going to be crazy. Let's watch the hidden camera footage of Tellis allegedly having a backseat meeting with his subordinate.
Of her car together, both of which were married at the time. Not a great look, rough moment, obviously, for her, but for Robert Tellis, he's in charge of the office. He's the man in charge. What does it tell you, Mike King, if it was co-workers who actually obtained this video?
Well, I think it reminds us.
It goes to the hostile work environment and the bullying and the unfair treatment and the terrorism that these women who worked in his office claim they were having to endure with this guy as their toxic boss baby, in my opinion. But that's the legal opinion. Let's hear what Mike King has to say about it.
How important it is that the people in the office understood what was going on. The people in the office had the relationship to hear maybe through the grapevine what was going on, and had the prowess to go out and actually capture the video. They knew when that employee was going to leave and the boss was leaving at the same time. And I think this really shows this power of position power and this position of trust that these leaders have, and the responsibility that they have to avoid even the appearance of evil in something like this. Vinny, I had a lot of meetings in my career.
Appearance of evil, I'll say appearance of impropriety. Because when you're sworn in to be a lawyer, that is like the number one ethical thing that they teach you is to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. This guy's not only is he a lawyer, he's an elected public official. He's the public administrator of the county. And they're both getting out of the back seat. Yeah.
I don't think I ever did him in the back seat of a car with
Wait a second. Mike King admitting he never did a meeting in the back seat of a car. Good thing, Mike. Good thing.
To avoid even the appearance of evil in something like this. Vinny, I had a lot of meetings in my career. I don't think I ever did them in the backseat of a car with an employee.
No, doesn't work that way. Erica, I want to read for you the response from Robert Tellis to all of this. He said, and this is responding to the article in the backseat video, "I think it's horrible that they recorded this, and they're trying to destroy my life and my marriage when I'm actually infinitely in love with my wife. I was just trying to get things off my chest with someone who understands. And now it's being framed as though I'm cheating on my wife.
In the back seat of her car? Okay.
What does that tell you about Robert Tellis?
I think there's a level of arrogance here that isn't being addressed. It could be this abuse of power situation or this alleged abuse of power situation. This I'm untouchable, I'm a public official. And I believe his first statement, that this is horrible what they're doing. I believe he believes what he's saying. And so, but I mean, his defense could be, I'm just talking to a friend. We were sitting in the back seat, whatever. We don't know what's going on in their marriage. We just don't know that. So I'm not necessarily willing to go there, but I think that he's very defensive. And I think that from a public perspective, it doesn't look good.
Yeah. Well, I think if he's going to get something off his chest, you could do that in the front seat.
Oh, look at Vinny being all snarky.
That's a front seat thing. That's not a back seat thing. I think the only thing that comes off his chest in the back seat is his shirt, maybe. Might be the only thing that comes off there.
Oh, Vinny.
So, Mike, as we look at all of this and we look at these allegations.
So this goes on, and at some point they're going to show the Jailhouse interview. So I wanted to show you that because that's interesting. We looked at the evidence already. Okay, here we go. This is talking about his motivation.
Motivated the man they say is responsible for his murder, Robert Tellis. Here's more. Robert Tellis was a lawyer and politician in Clark County, Nevada. He was also a family man. Jeff German was a hard-nosed investigative journalist who had a reputation for exposing corruption in Las Vegas. One of the subjects of Jeff's investigations was Robert Tellis. So when Jeff was brutally murdered, police looked at Tellis and then arrested him for the stabbing. Tellis says he's innocent and is getting ready to fight those charges inside a courtroom. So how do you go from lawyer and politician and family man to murderer? I think it's important to understand what's going on inside the mind of Robert Tellis. I want to take a look now. This is fascinating. After he got arrested for the murder, he's in jail waiting for his trial.
This is great.
And he does an interview with a local journalist.
Yeah,
listen.
It's great.
What do you have to say for the charge you're facing now?
And unfortunately, I can't comment on it, obviously, given that it's ongoing, and I hope you understand.
Are you able to talk about you and your wife now? You guys work together?
Again, we have a wonderful relationship. I mean, obviously, things are a little difficult to hear with respect to working together per se. But we love each other very much.
Well, how would you describe your relationship with German?
I didn't have a relationship with Mr. German per se. So.
Did you ever try to work with him on any stories in the past?
No, sir.
No, but he was working on stories about you.
I guess DNA evidence and certain evidence found at your home, links you to this. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't comment on the case. I'm sorry.
What would you say to those past allegations of a hostile work environment and sexual misconduct in the workplace?
I've laid all that out on the website. It's false. And, the work that we did in that office was very important and very good. We did have a lot of accomplishments. We were able to change laws to support families in probate. The office was running very, very well. And unfortunately, there were some folks who just weren't happy with the changes. because it affected their pocketbooks, and
So he thinks that somebody else has a motive and it's money, and that's who did this? Okay.
It's unfortunate the way that things went down.
Did you murder Jeff German?
Again, sir, I cannot comment on the case in any respect whatsoever, sir.
Is there anything you want people to know about you?
It's just really, again, that I am someone who is human. I've all my life tried to do great work for people. I used to volunteer, donate, and just generally try to help anybody who needed my help. And
What do you want to know about people? I'm human. I help everyone.
so that's who I am. If anyone wants to believe otherwise, that's their choice, but I'm just somebody who's trying to do his best to be a good person.
Something about him, like in that interview behind bars, charged with murder, he appears to me almost similar to the way he was in his campaign video. Anyhow, this brings me to my next question, which is, what's really going on with Robert Tellis? What's going on up here?
I know. I want to do
this.
his YouTube show, Melly. He's always got those other guys on, Al and that other guy that always wears glasses and a hat. I told him 100 times. I said, I'll come on YouTube with you. Anytime he wants. I'm here. I'm here for it. Yeah, right. And what charities have you donated to? That's right. Love Vinny. I like the format of this new show that he's got going on at 9 o'clock. So there's that. Then he has these two women on who are talking heads, and then it goes on a little bit further from there. You can find that on YouTube. That is Vinny's show from last night. It's called Sex Scandal Motive for Murder or Framed by Police, Case Against Robert Tellis. And we're going to be covering this starting Monday. Brinley says he's a narcissist that says it all, right? Sounds just like the personality. Thank you, Barb, for becoming a new member. Hello, Jill to the UK says, I sent you an email, upgraded to a new cupcake. Congratulations and thank you. Only channel I joined on YouTube, the one that kickstarted me back to life. Thank you. Welcome back to life, Jill. Welcome back to life. So that's what we're doing, folks. You're going to want to hit the subscribe button. You're going to want to hit the notification bell so that you know when I go live next on this case. We may find some more documents. In the meantime, somebody says he's Scott Peterson's twin. He is Boss Baby, right? Right, Obi? Obi, did you get your internet situated? Because I saw you're having a problem with your internet. Seems like you were getting a little angry about it, so I just want to help you breathe. Breathe. I know your viewers miss you. Everyone sub up to Oblivious Benson, who got her start right here on my channel. You can thank me for that because we were covering the story on Lisk, Rex Heuermann, the Long Island serial killer, and I had a call-in show, and Oblivious Benson called in. That's where she started her YouTube career. It was like just a happy accident, right? So crazy. Della wants to know if people have always been going nuts. Are they going nuts or has it always been like this? But we're seeing more and more of it because of social media. I tend to think the latter. Yeah, this is going to be a crazy case that has it all. I find it frightening that a journalist has been assassinated for his hit pieces on perhaps this person, because this guy had written hit pieces on organized crime figures for many, many years, 40 years, I think his career spanned. And that's right, Obi, I created this monster. You can thank me for that, right? It's true. Truth. It's truth. Truth and sarcasm and snark. It's the snark tank. That a journalist can be assassinated for the pieces that he writes and then get into a Twitter war with the subject of those hit pieces. And then they hit this subject of those hit pieces is allegedly the assassinator. Assassinator? Assassin. The assassin. That's it. My words will come to me. So hit the, excuse me? That is me in the thumbnail. It's actually an official headshot. So there's a thing with lighting and whatever. So, hey, everyone say goodbye to Spanky. Spanky G. Scott, are you here? Welcome. Here's your boarding pass. Bye. Bye. Does anybody know any official headshot photographers? Yeah, that picture on the thing is me with my hair down and good lighting, makeup, and other stuff. So you can go to hell, Sparky. See ya. Everyone say goodbye to Sparky. Bye. What an ass. Oh, sorry. I don't curse on this channel. Wow. How sad. Bye, Spanx. Spanky got his boarding pass. All right. So we will, if I can dig up some more documents, maybe we can cover those tomorrow. If there's another case you want to dive into, feel free to email me and I'll look into that one as well. But as it stands right now, we're going to be going to Vegas on Monday. I think it's going to start at 4 p.m. Eastern, but it may be not actually starting on Monday. So I'll keep you posted and we're going to watch it together. And this may be the trial that is like a palate cleanser after the trials of Karen Reed and Ashley Benefield that we covered it together. I love spicy Mel. Can you believe these people, Melly? I'm not tolerant. Ain't no time to hate. Like the Grateful Dead said, ain't no time to hate. It's my channel. I make the rules. Bye-bye. This is not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure, but we will give you a boarding pass if we don't like your attitude. So in any event, thank you, moderators, for keeping it classy today, except for that one who got through. And viewers, replay viewers, please hit the like button. And yes, the glare show that I did the other night was so much fun. It was great. We had a great time. And if you didn't watch it, go back and watch it because we talked for like 3.5 hours and it was cool. And it was a lot of fun. So let's do all the YouTube-ish things that YouTube likes to help the algorithm. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you'll know when I go live. And thank you to my amazing members, channel members, viewers, replay viewers. And let's, it's not hard. This is the mantra here. It's really not hard. Be cool, be kind, be classy. That's really not hard either, but some people seem to have a problem with it. So I'm going to see you guys real soon. Watch for something tomorrow. Until then, peace out. Have a great rest of your weekend.